The Newsfirst Finance Report.
IMF World Bank Spring Meeting to begin in DC.
Welcome to the spring meetings.
The spring meetings of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank Group will commence on Monday in Washington, D.C. The spring meetings of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank Group bring together central bankers, ministers of finance and development, parliamentarians, private sector executives, representatives from civil society organizations and academics to discuss issues of global concern, including the world economic outlook, poverty eradication, economic development and aid effectiveness. Also featured are seminars, regional briefings, press conferences and other events focused on the global economy, international development and the world's financial system. The main ministerial meetings and events will take place from the 17th to the 19th of April, with other events and activities taking place during the week from the 15th to the 20th of April. Sri Lanka's State Minister of Finance, Shahan Semasinghe, believes that fruitful engagements at the IMF and World Bank spring meetings in Washington, D.C. will pave the way for unlocking the next tranche of essential funding and a speedy debt resolution. He said this will enhance economic stability, confidence, sustainable growth, restore debt sustainability and ultimately improving the welfare of every Sri Lankan citizen. In a post on X, the State Minister announced the country's participation in the upcoming IMF and World Bank Spring Meetings 2024, scheduled to commence on the 15th of April. This significant event brings together global leaders, policymakers and financial experts to discuss critical economic challenges and foster international cooperation. State Minister Shahan Semasinghe said that Sri Lanka's journey to its current state of stability and progress is due to the invaluable support provided by the IMF, World Bank and international partners during the most severe economic crisis we faced since 2022. As we navigate the complexities of global economic challenges, we will engage closely with the IMF and aim to contribute to broad international economic cooperation with our partners. In March 2024, IMF staff and the Sri Lankan authorities reached staff-level agreement on economic policies to conclude the second review of the 4-year EFF-supported program and the 2024 Article 4 consultation. Once the review is approved by IMF management and completed by the IMF Executive Board, Sri Lanka will have access to 254 million SDR, which is around $337 million in financing. If approved, this will be the third tranche that will be released to Sri Lanka. The EFF arrangement was approved by the IMF Executive Board for a total number of 2.3 billion SDR, which is around $3 billion on March 20th, 2023. IMF in a statement said, upon completion of the Executive Board review, Sri Lanka would have access to 254 million SDR, bringing the total IMF financial support disbursed under the arrangement to 762 million SDR, which is around $1 billion.
The Newsfirst Finance Report.
The primary agenda being to discuss the direction of the two large institutions, the World Bank and the IMF. So here again, one thing, it will revolve around the economic outlook. So to just give a brief background about the economic outlook, the global economy is set to have a soft landing and stabilization is expected soon. So the agenda will touch on a few things. The first thing is bringing down inflation. So here, this has been a challenge for many central banks around the world and governments, because one thing is lowering policy rates too quickly can, help to unlock or increase inflation over the short term. But at the same time, there has to be a fine balance between the two. The other thing is also addressing global debt. Global debt right now is at around $300 trillion, which is huge. But the concerning factor is that developing economies are not growing that fast. So this means that over some time, it could lead to debt sustainability issues. Funding climate finance is another thing on the agenda, especially with the new World Bank head trying to focus on climate finance. But raising funds for that will also be on the agenda, or how to do it. And lastly, geopolitical tensions, the Russia-Ukraine war raging on, tensions in the Middle East rising. So here again, it's going to affect global supply chains and oil prices, which are going to affect inflation in the short and medium terms. So where does Sri Lanka stand in this? So Sri Lanka is going to be attending the meetings, or our delegation is already there. And the objective will be to have discussions with various stakeholders on how we can fasten the debt negotiations, especially to bring to conclusion the private creditors' debt, so that we can achieve debt sustainability for our country.